Why do wild animals not cultivate their own doctors? Xiefeng. Humans meticulously care for themselves, always fretting over and preparing for unforeseen future events, being precautious and preventative. Contemplating the future and taking precautions isn't inherently wrong, but the question remains, are we devoting too much time, energy, and resources to the future? By excessively fixating on the future, are we neglecting our present? Today, people seem to form friendships mainly for utilitarian purposes, rather than fostering genuine connections as our ancestors did, where hearts were in sync. At home, rely on parents; outside, rely on friends. But why do we rely? We cloak our true intentions, compromising and pandering to friends, just to safeguard against unforeseeable future events, leaning on them, correct? Despite forced smiles, reluctant engagements, and considerable reluctance, we still go out of our way to garner support for others. Are we still being true to ourselves? How much of our time is squandered on fruitless pursuits? Why do we engage in this behavior? Is it all in anticipation of the unforeseeable future? We install security doors, set up alarms, erect fences, hang electric wires, manufacture weapons, construct hospitals, and purchase insurance. As humanity progresses, it appears the less secure we feel. Why is this? Will there come a day when everyone must wear bulletproof vests and dwell in heavily fortified underground bunkers? Is this truly the path of human advancement? Birds and wild animals do not have doctors or hospitals. Does that mean they cannot survive? The day before yesterday, I visited the Marandra Wildlife Sanctuary for observation. A large elephant mingled among a group of water buffaloes. According to the park staff, this elephant has been alive for nearly 30 years. It struck me, this elephant has lived for 30 years without ever seeing a doctor or receiving treatment from a hospital. How did it weather the storms and extreme weather conditions over these 30 years? Among humans, who among the 30-year-olds has never visited a hospital or seen a doctor? Can one not survive without doctors and hospitals? I'm not suggesting that having doctors and hospitals is detrimental. The extension of human lifespan partly hinges on the advancement of medical services. The question remains, why don't birds and wild animals have their own doctors and hospitals? Are they not living freely and happily? In the courtyard of the villa where I reside, the vegetation flourishes. Every day around 4:30 in the morning, birds chirp in unison, and around 5 o'clock, when I open the window, I can observe a dozen or more species of birds merrily chirping and catching insects. They appear so carefree and liberated, utterly unconcerned about world affairs, currency fluctuations, the Iraq crisis, or the Asian financial turmoil. I wonder, should humans take a cue from birds? If we eschew reliance on anything, and nothing can be depended upon, if we refrain from worrying excessively about the future, will we live more freely? Let what comes, come, and let what goes, go. Wouldn't life be simpler? Emotional dependence hinders humanity's entry into advanced civilization. Xiefeng. April 14, 2024. I recently watched videos on WeChat from both Captain Awakening and Kai Ming, each discussing the topic of relationships between parents and children, and I deeply resonated with it. So, inspired by it, I would like to share my understanding as well. I described the relationships between parents and children, spouses, siblings, and even between masters and disciples, as forms of emotional dependency. Emotional dependence has a comforting and numbing effect on people, but at the same time, it hinders personal growth and the realization of potential. The more one depends on emotions, the more one loses independent consciousness, the more one degenerates and becomes parasitic, which is bad for everyone, harmful to parents, children, husbands, wives, and everyone. The pinnacle of civilization that humanity can attain is exemplified by the model of the 1,000-year world in heaven. From the perspective of this pattern, the main factor that hinders and prevents humanity from entering an advanced state of civilization is the emotional dependence between people. To be more thorough, the core factor that hinders and prevents humanity from entering an advanced civilized society is the institution of marriage and family. Within the framework of the family, an individual's autonomy, independent consciousness, and freedom are restricted and determined by the emotional relationships among family members. Everyone, whether parents or children, husbands or wives, is actually in a relationship of emotional hostage-taking. Parents take their children hostage, children take their parents hostage, husbands take their wives hostage, and wives take their husbands hostage. This reciprocal emotional hostage situation erodes individual autonomy, independent thought, and personal freedom. The more incompetent the parents are, the more severe the hostage-taking of the children. The more incompetent the children are, the more severe the hostage-taking of the parents. The more incompetent the husband is, the more severe the hostage-taking of the wife. The more incompetent the wife is, the more severe the hostage-taking of the husband. The more capable the parents are, the less aware the children are of their incompetence. The more capable the children are, the less aware the parents are of their incompetence. The more capable the husband is, the less aware the wife is of her incompetence. The more capable the wife is, the less aware the husband is of his incompetence. Parasites never know that they survive by sucking the blood of their hosts. When the host is weak, parasites not only fail to be grateful to the host but also complain and condemn the host for lacking blood. Doesn't that neat generation mirror parasites feeding off their parents? Aren't parents who live off their children's support like parasites living off their children? The same applies to the relationship between spouses. Humanity has existed for nearly 5,000 years. Who has lived a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss? No one, right? Why not? It's because emotional dependence is blocking the way. Let every person be independent. This way, the pain of parents will not be passed on to children, the pain of children will not be passed on to parents, the pain of husbands will be borne by themselves, and the pain of wives will be borne by themselves. There will no longer be emotional dependence between people. In short, without the program of marriage and family, everyone is born independent and free, not dependent on each other, and the result will be that everyone lives happily, joyfully, freely, and blissfully. Don't think this is a fantasy or a pipe dream. The 1,000-year world is just such a state, so everyone in the 1,000-year world has become celestial being, and the 1,000-year world has become heaven. On Earth, in the second home living model created by Lifechanyuan, people's suffering has been greatly reduced. This is because the second home lacks the traditional constructs of marriage and family, everyone is independent, everyone is free, and of course, life is especially beautiful and comfortable. People living in the world, who is really hindering the realization of your ideals? Who is preventing you from becoming independent and free? Christ Jesus told us, a man's enemies will be the members of his own household. Realizing this truth and freeing oneself from emotional dependence early on will lead everyone to heaven.